Some fans of Scottish art will have recently seen an article in Fleming's Scottish Art News with Michael Portillo recalling some of his favourite Scottish works of art. And he tells the story of his grandfather, Jack Blyth. We at the Scottish Gallery were privileged to work with the Portillo family, and this actually ended up with a wonderful exhibition in July 2012, which we called The Taste of J.W. Blyth. And this was really the disposal, as well as telling the story, but the disposal of a large part of the collection which Blyth had built up and which came to us through Michael's connections, through his generation, through him and his brothers. Jack Blyth was a Kirkcaldy-based linen manufacturer whose great passion became contemporary art. He started his collection just around about the beginning of the First World War, and he died, I think, in the early 1960s and was still collecting right up to the very end, so a lifetime's commitment. His passion was, as I say, contemporary art and the modern period, and it began to focus increasingly on the work of the Scottish colourists, and in particular, the work of Samuel John Peploe, my grandfather. And by the end of his life, Blyth owned an astonishing 83 works by Peploe. In a sense, to jump to the end of Jack Blyth's story, he had a very close relationship with the local museum, which is obviously Kirkcaldy Museum and Art Gallery, which had been built with money from the Nairn family after the First World War in memory of one of the Nairn sons who was killed in the trenches. And Blyth let them house perhaps up to half of his collection of works. Frankly, he'd run out of space in his home at Wilby House in Kirkcaldy. So when he died, there was an arrangement made that on extremely advantageous terms, the local authority actually bought these pictures, and they continue to reside there, so that Kirkcaldy is a jewel in the municipal crown. It's a wonderful gallery, recently refurbished, and they have a hexagonal room at the end of the first floor where the colourist works are hung, and as I say, some of the very best things by S.J. Peploe are there. Before the colourists, and like many people of his generation, born in the 1860s, or 1870s, he collected McTaggart. So he had some fantastic McTaggarts. When he was buying them, of course, he was the rival of other great McTaggart purchasers like Carnegie. And again, some of these monumental works hang in another hexagonal room within Kirkcaldy Museum and Art Gallery. Michael Portillo recalls being met at the station by his grandfather's chauffeur with the gauntlets and the cap, being driven up the short distance to Wilby House. Remember some of these monumental McTaggart paintings and their huge, swept, ornate gilt frames hanging on the stair, and they would sort of rush up and down the stairs, touching these as they went by. How Michael came to be one of the inheritors of this extraordinary collection was that Blyth had, I think, 3 daughters. 2 didn't marry. The third one, Michael's mother, married a refugee from Franco's Spain, Signor Portillo, and they had 4 children, Michael and his 3 brothers. And quite a lot of the pictures, as I say, eventually came down through descent to these boys. So Michael grew up with many of these paintings and has very happy memories and an appreciation for this aspect of Scottish art. One other little P.S. about his grandfather, about Jack Blyth, was he was a tremendous advocate for Scottish painting. He also had a passion for the Camden School and Sickert, and through this he got to know Lillian Browse, who was the sort of doyenne of London art dealers. And along with Lillian Browse, he organised an exhibition of Scottish painting that took place in the Royal Academy at the beginning of the war. And it was, again, one of these initiatives to bring culture back to the capital at a time where everything was sort of disappearing, as the Blitz began. So again, tribute to him as someone who was a visionary, who had enormous passion, who had a tremendous eye, great acumen. Some of the works, of course, bought very inexpensively during the Second World War, but someone also who believed in the artists that he loved and wanted to make them better known. And I think we can say that Blyth's hard work and passion was one of the reasons that many of these artists had their reputations established. Terrific stuff, and thank you again to Michael for recalling it again in the Scottish Art News. And hopefully we'll speak again soon. Thank you.